I did it just for you. uh, there are a few things that we need to understand about the number 8. Number 1, the first thing is like, what are we talking about? What kind of problem is this? You see those big, bright pink letters at the end? It tells you what we're talking about. Equations. And what are we about equations? What do they have in it? Equal sign. I automatically know I'm going to be using an equal sign and not those less than, greater than, or equal to, or whatever else that we use for the inequalities. We're talking about an equation, and it has to have that equal sign. That's the first thing we need to know. The second thing is that we have to find 3 variables, right? And that is the easiest part of all. Not variables, 3 components. We have to find y, m, and b. When we read it, we'll be able to find those. Jerry started doing sit-ups every day. The first day he did 15 sit-ups. Every day after that, he did 2 more sit-ups than he had done the previous day. Today, Jerry did 33 sit-ups. Which one is y? 33. That was easy. Which one's b? He already did them. That's not going to change, right? Those are done. Which one is m? 2x, right? 2x plus 15 equals 33. You did not have to solve it. They only said write an equation that could be used. They didn't say solve for the equation. They just wanted the equation. Oh, I'm sorry. I read this wrong, so I read this fast, so if I got something wrong, then it was late. Sorry. I was doing it last night. All right, so let's move on to number 8. Eddie scored at least 27 points, more than half. Okay, let me say it slowly. Eddie scored at least 27 points, more than half of what Duncan scored. Eddie scored 58 points, right? Inequality that could be used to solve. Yes. Hang on. Yes. I think this is one of the ones that it would be appreciated if you had commas in between to separate stuff, because it's like a whole big run-on sentence. But let's take it by pieces. Eddie scored. How many points did Eddie score? 58. Let's put it over here. Eddie scored 58 points, which is at least 27 points more than half of what Duncan did. So how many is the total? 58. 58 has to be on this side. We don't know this part. And then we have whatever it is here. But what do we know about 58? It's more than half. This is more than this part right here. So this is what in relation to that? If this is more than anything on this, if side B is more than anything on side A, then what is A? What could be A?
27.
No, I'm talking about less than, greater than. What is it?
Less
Less than or what? Or it could be equal, right? So this has to be less than or equals to 58. That's what we know for sure, yes. If you put greater than, I may have accidentally marked it right, especially if you boxed it, because it's hard for me to see which way it's going. But whatever you put on side A has to be less than or equals to 58, right? So what is B then? 27. That's what he scored, right? And what is M? It's half. You can put X. So we know that he got half of Duncan, right? At least half of Duncan plus 27. That's it. You have to read it carefully. What? Oh, 0.5 works fine. It's the same thing, guys. 0.5 is the same thing as half. All right, number 9 is super easy. All you have to do was solve it, right? So I explained to my kids, because those are people who did not quite get it, that when you're doing two-step equations or inequalities, I want you to imagine that you have a set of doors. Here's the equation, like right in front of me. And I step in front of it, and there is two doors. One on my right, one on my left. The one on my right is adding. The one on my left is subtracting. Which one, what is it going on right now? It's adding 3, right, for number 9.
So you go
That means this door is already occupied, the adding door, because it's happening, right? Can I try to use adding again? I have to subtract, right? So you subtract to keep them equal. Then you go into that door. Once you go into that door, you have another set of doors of 2. What are they? Multiplying or dividing, right? And you test the doors. Which one's work? Which is open? Which one is locked? It's multiplying, right? That one's locked. That means we have to divide. And once you open that door, you land where your answer is. But you have to go through those 2 doors. You have to go through those 2 doors, otherwise it won't work. So right here, when we get to the first door where you have to add or subtract, the addition door is already locked. That means we have to subtract, right? And you end up with 2s greater than 12. Now we must go to the other door, which is multiply or divide. What do? We divide because the multiplication one is already taken. S is greater than 6. Notice how the signs don't change. The signs do not change. They're like the equal signs. The only time they change is whenever you divide or multiply on that second step by a negative number. So when you divide or multiply by a negative number, then the sign basically just flips. That's it.
That's why I was confused. Like, when do I switch this?
You only switch them when you multiply or divide by a negative number on the second step. But if you don't do that, the sign stays the same. Is everyone following? Mm-hmm. You were supposed to put S is greater than 6. You need to put the whole thing. S is greater than 6. If you put 6, it's probably marked it right. But for next time, make sure you put the inequality. Otherwise, it doesn't, I don't know what you're talking about. If you put X, that's fine, but they're using S. For your homework, I will need you to do this one and this one and that one. So far. Let's move on. The what? Those should be easy. And just look at the example. For number 1 on the next page, a taxi cab costs $1.50 for the first mile and 75 cents for each additional mile. Which equation can be solved to find how many miles you can travel in a taxi for $10 if X is the number of additional miles? Well, we already know what Y is, right? Because it's the same in all of them. Let's find B. Which one's B? 1.50. Why is that B?
Because for the first mile, you already had it.
You only pay it one time, right? For the first mile. After that, you don't pay it again. So we can eliminate which ones? A and C, right? Because they're using 1.5 for the M, and we know that's not right, correct? So we only have B and C. Which one do you think is the right answer?
B, because it says additional miles.
Yep, we're adding the miles, right? Yep, and some of you got it wrong. So here's going to be the homework for that one. I'm going to change the cost to $2.50 and the mile to $1.75. And I'm going to change this to 20. So $2.50, $1.75, 20. Once you find the equation, I want you to solve for X. That's for the homework. You know how to solve for X, and I just show you how to find the equation, right? That shouldn't be hard.
Oh, so we solve.
Once you find the equation, solve for X. And you're going to do those all in a clean sheet of paper. All right. Tony operates a skate rental company. He charges an equipment fee of $3 plus $6 per hour. Which equation represents a linear relationship? Any clues? Yes.
Yes. No, no, no.
We don't have to find why because we don't know why, right? What do we find then?
The
Notice how we already have all the y's. That means we're looking for two items, right? M and B. Which one is B? B.
yeah, 3.
Why is 3?
Because it's you already
It's a fee, right? That's the equipment fee. That's only a one-time fee. The other one changes every hour. So 3 has to be that. I have to eliminate this one and that one, right? It has to be A or B. I mean A or C. Which one is it? A. Why is it A?
because you add it. It's per hour plus.
Per hour, right? That's giving you more money, not taking away. Yes. Hmm? Your test grade, what you got already. This is for homework. You test corrections. No. Your test corrections is the new ones that I'm giving you. It's not what you got wrong. You're not doing test. You're doing homework. So the homework is the new ones that I'm giving you. All right. Let's moving on. Which equation has 8 equals x equals 8 for a solution? What do you do? There are two ways to do this one.
You could solve for what? And you could put the number instead of the x. You could do this for you let checking, but instead of checking,
Yes. You can either check the answer, basically you substitute, or you work out the problems. Yeah, it is too much work to work out the problem. So I'm just going to substitute. Wherever I see x, I'm going to put 8. So 3 times 8, 2 times 8, 16. Plus 3
19.
is not 13, right? So that won't work. The next one, 4 times 8 plus 6,
38.
that works. Let's try the other ones. 3 times 8 minus 5,
19.
that won't work. 5 times 8, 40. Minus 8, that won't work. You didn't have to solve it, but you could have. 2x plus 3 equals 13. Minus 3 on both sides. 2x equals 10. Divided by 2. X equals 5. That is not the same thing as that. All right, the next one, I'm going to explain it carefully and slowly because a lot of you got it wrong for the wrong reasons. So let me explain. Hey, let me explain. At 2, there was a gap, right? An open circle and an arrow going this way. So the open circle means that it's not included. I don't know. The negative 2 is not included, right? It cannot be equal to 2. The solution cannot be equal to 2. So what we have to do, we have to work them out. But because we already know it cannot be equal to, we can eliminate 2 of them, right? Which one? That one and that one. Because it's saying the answer is going to be equal to something. And it cannot. That means the circles will be closed. So that one are out. Let's work these out. 4x plus 12 less than 4. So minus 12 minus 12. 4x less than. Notice how the sign just drops. And then you get negative 8. Divide by 4. X is less than negative 2. Less than negative 2. This is how you graph that. You graph the answer, which is x is less than negative 2. You go to that number, which is right there, and you put a circle around it, because that means it is not equal to 2. Negative 2. It's only less than, right? So you shade the rest of it. That's it. You shade it. That's what we're doing tomorrow. But this should have been easy. We can do the other one too, which would be minus 6, 3x less than negative 3 divided by 3. X is less than negative 0.5. Negative 0.5. When you reduce it, it gives you half, right? Look. It's half, right? And that would not work because that would be right here somewhere. Wait, no, right here. Children? Yes. All right. Next one. So number 5. Hey, number 5 should have been easy too. What did you have to do with it? B. Yeah, for the other one. For this one, you have to solve it, right? So plus 7, 3x is less than 12. Divide by 3. X is less than 4. That's it. You could have eliminated that one and that one because the sign is that. It could have changed, but it only changes when you divide by a negative. They try to trick you because you're subtracting a negative, so they might have made you think that you would change the sign, but you only change the sign when you divide or multiply by a negative. Yes. For what? The only one? I didn't. That's right. All right. Right. I don't believe you, but because there's like dark stuff in it. All right. The 30 members of a choir are trying to raise at least $1,500 to cover the travel costs to sign up a camp. I'm going to stop right there for one reason and one reason only. The numbers are already in the right position. I'm only worried about the sign. They're the ones that are different, right? So what tells me from the first sentence, what can I say? At least, what does it mean? Greater than or equals to, right? All of these have to be greater than or equals to 1,500. At least. You should know this by now. If I tell you you have to be at least 5 feet tall to get on that ride, a million times. All right, so I'm going to change. Well, no. For B? I'm sorry. Well, add 10 points to your grade. Do we really want to do this? Because I can retest you and see how you do it without my help. Thank you. Because if I don't do it, here's what happens. And I know I'm not going to say names because I'm on the microphone. But if you actually do it once and you take it to me for the first time and I tell you which ones are wrong, you already have a less chance of failing because I already told you which answers are eliminated. That means you only have 3 out of 4. And if you already knew that at least 2 out of 4 were wrong, that means you only have one left option. That if you were debating between one and the other, I already told you that's not the answer, so you go back to the right answer. How do you think some of those kids actually get the right answer? I'm not saying names, but I'm not dumb. I'm just saying sometimes that's how you do it. But I'm just trying to push you to think a little more critical of what's wrong and what's right. The problem is that whenever you get tested for the ACP, ain't nobody going to tell you which ones are wrong, which ones are right. You're on your own. Girl. No. So what I'm saying is this. If you're complaining about it, I just give you one chance. I looked at it and I said, some of these are not wrong. I probably tell you which ones are right, and then you go back and you change them. For the next one, you're on your own. Do not come and ask me to check your papers. That's rude. Oh, okay. Anyway, we're not talking about that. Anyway, this one was the ones were a little more complicated. You had to read it over and over and over again until you understood what was going on. But the key word was actually in the very last sentence, which was your question. That's where the key word was. All that information is useful, but you needed to know what they're actually asking you to find. So it says Miss Drennan keeps a bag of small prizes to distribute to her students. She likes to keep at least 3 times as many prizes in the bag as she has students. The bag currently has 72 prizes in it. Ms. Drennan has 26 students. You have to identify what the total has to be, the goal, right? How many prizes does she need to have? Why 78? You have to multiply the number of students times 3, right? At least 3 times. So that gives me a total of 78. That's the goal. And it has to be greater than or equal to that, right? How much candy does she have now? 72. And then the X represents whatever she doesn't have. That's it. So all you have to do was subtract 72 from both sides, and you would end up with X is greater than or equals to 6. A lot of you just multiply. I saw a lot of this in the paper for some of you. 26 times 3, you got 78. 78 minus 72, you got 6. You circle it and you put it on here. This is okay, but I wanted to see the algebraic representation of it. It wasn't hard numerically speaking, but you had to interpret it very well. There was an additional step in between, which was multiplying by 3 at the beginning to get the goal, and then from there you could work it out. A lot of you got stuck and you started doing 3x plus 72 equals something, and you know what it was, 26. And I'm like, no. All right, so I'm going to give you a couple more for homework. Do not even go there. No, it's going to be here. I'm going to ask you to solve for number 8 and put it on the number line. That means, here, I'm going to explain. This says it has to be greater than or equals to. Let's assume that the answer is S is greater than or equals to 20. It says equals to, right? So it has to be closed. So if the answer is greater than or equals to or less than or equal to, it's going to be closed circle. If it's just that one, it has to be open. I know, like a clown. But anyway, if it's greater than or equals to 20, here's what happens. I'm going to go to 20, put a closed circle, and because it says greater than, which way do I go? Look at the arrow, greater than, right? That means I go this way. And that's it. If it's less than, where do I go? And let's pretend that it says it's less than 18. Not less than or equal to, just less than. I go here, and I go that way, right? That's it. How do you do that one? This one. Let me tell you one more thing. If you divide or multiply by a negative number, whenever you divide or multiply by a negative number, you must flip the sign. So whatever sign it is, it'll switch.
So when you do the second step,
On the second step, yes. On the second step, if you divide or multiply by a negative number, you have to flip the sign. If it's greater than, it will be less than. Does that make sense? Do we have any questions? We're going to do 9, 8, 9. We're going to do 12. And we're going to do 17. Plus the ones that I already assigned.